Ahoj, já vás zdravím u nového videa. This will be very handy for you to expand your vocabulary. I'm going to talk about creating nouns from verbs. Let me show you with a couple of examples what I mean. Zákaz zastavení, no stopping. Zákaz parkování, no parking. Zastavení, parkování are nouns. And they were created from verbs. Zastavení came from zastavit. Parkování came from parkovat. What about this one? Mytí aut. Ruční mytí aut. Hand car washing. Or simply if you say omlouvám se za zpoždění. Sorry for the delay. Očekávejte silné sněžení. Expect heavy snowfall. Sněžení. Or tisk fotografií na počkání. Na počkání. Instant photo printing. These and many more forms are among us. You can see them everywhere on signs. You can read them in texts. You probably know many of them. So let's take a look at how to make these nouns. Jdeme na to. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. In this video we're going to work together. I'll show you how to make it and then you will help me with some forms. Let's start with the verb dělat, to do or make. Imagine you want to say doing or making something. The form would be dělání, dělání. Let's see what happened. Dělat, dělání. We took away the last ending from the verb. At, děl is what we are left with, and then we add ání, dělání. You can use this with all the verbs that end in at or ovat as well. For example, hledat, to search. Searching would be hledání, hledání. Hled, we took away the at, and then we added ání, hledání. Even the ovat verbs act the same way. For example, cestovat, cestovat, and cestování is traveling, cestování, cestování, cestování. Pracovat, pracování. Super. Help me with the remaining verbs. I'm gonna give you a second, pause the video so you don't have to rush. And here it is. Počkat, počkání. Plavat, plavání. Počítat, počítání. Fungovat, fungování. Malovat, malování. Perfect. These forms are often translated with the English ing form, the gerund. And by the way, these forms in Czech are not exactly called gerund. In Czech we don't have a gerund that would work the same way as in other languages. We don't use these forms to create other tenses. They are simply verbal nouns. That's what they're called, verbal nouns. So for example, fungování is functioning, hledání is searching, počítání, counting. Počkání literally means waiting, but it often appears in the sentence, we've seen it, na počkání, na počkání. Instant means that you just wait. You will have it instantly after waiting. Now let's take a look at verbs that finish with at and there is a long a. What happens is that we don't keep them long. It's not ani here. We actually add ani instead of ani. The verbs have a long ending. The verbal noun has a short ending. For example, psát, psaní. Help me out with these two. Hrát and spát. Very well. Hraní, spaní. Psaní means writing. Hraní, playing. Spaní, sleeping. It's also important to mention that all these nouns that I'm showing are neuter. They all finish with I at the end, mostly ni. And if you had to change their form in a way, you would be looking at them as neuter nouns. They are neuters. For example, if you wanted to say there is problem with sleeping, like sleeping arrangements, you would need the instrumental and you would say jsou tady problémy se spaním, spaním. We took a look at verbs that finish with at, with accent or without it. What's gonna happen to those that finish with it or et? For example, vařit. We take away the ending it, we have vař, and then we add ení. Vaření, cooking. Vaření. Učit, to teach. Teaching is učení. Učení. If you wanted to say learning, it would be better to add se to it. So učení se. For example, learning of new languages. Učení se nových jazyků. Because učení is teaching from učit. So you have to make sure that you add that se. Let's take a look at the verb řešit, to solve. And if you want to say solving or solution, you would get řešení. Řešení. Řešení, both translated as solving or solution. Or a word that you probably know, oznámit. Oznámit means to announce. And how do you say announcement? This is something you probably have seen if you live in the Czech Republic. Oznámení. Oznámení. Perfect. You have to be aware of verbs that have just one syllable. They are too short, so you cannot take away anything. You just add something, so they wouldn't become too small, too short. For example, the verb být, to be. And if you want to say being, it would be bytí. You simply add I with an accent. Být, bytí. Notice that we also got rid of the accents. What about pít, to drink? I bet you know this one. Pití. Pití. Drinking or drink. And mít with Y, to wash. Washing is mytí. So you don't take away letters, you take away accents. Být, bytí. Pít, pití. Meet, mytí. Moving on to another interesting group of verbs that finish with out. There is a slight change, not too drastic. Let's take the verb rozhodnout. Rozhodnout means to decide. If you want to say decision or deciding, you would say rozhodnutí. Rozhodnutí. It's not rozhodnoutí, but rozhodnutí. So what you do is you take away out and then you add uti. Utí. Rozhodnutí. What about another one? Odmítnout, to refuse. Refusing or refusal is odmítnutí. Odmítnutí. Help me with pronajmout and stárnout. Pronajmout, to rent. Pronajmutí. Renting. Stárnout, to age. Stárnutí. Stárnutí. This applies to verbs that finish with out. Remember, we just add utí, no o. By the way, I'm not giving you all the examples that you can find around you. Of course, in this video, I'm trying to limit it, still giving you plenty of examples so you can see the different changes. If you want to see more examples or how to use it more in a context, check my blog post. I wrote a blog post which is connected to this video. You will find the link below the video. It'll make me really happy if you check it out. You probably know what's coming. We're gonna take a look at some irregular nouns. Nothing too strange, just a few random changes. The verb řídit means to drive or manage. So if you want to say driving or management, you would not say řídění, you would say řízení, řízení. D changes to Z, řízení. The same thing happens with sedět, D. Sezení, sezení. We follow the same process. You see, sedět, we take away the ending, et. Sed, and then the ending would be ení, sedění, but the correct form is sezení. We change the D to Z. Another example is with narodit se. Narodit se, to be born. So if you want to say birth, it would be narození. Narození. Narození dítěte. Birth of a child. So this is one change. D changes to Z. Often, not always. Now another change is T changes to C. Platit, to pay. Paying is placení, placení. Potit, to sweat. Sweating is pocení, pocení. Not potění, pocení. Vrátit, to return. Returning or return is vrácení, vrácení. T changes to C. Remember that. Now there is another couple of verbs where this changes a little bit. Péct, to bake, it is pečení. Baking is pečení. Vést, to lead or manage, vedení, vedení. And finally, číst, čtení, čtení. These are all the examples I wanted to show you. Two more things. We can make nouns out of verbs, out of any verbs, but that doesn't mean that we use them. They exist, but some of them might not be really used. For example, the verb smát se means to laugh. If we want to say laughter, we say smích, which is a noun, real noun that was not created from this verb, but we could use a verbal noun which would be smání, but it's not really used. Also, keep in mind that there are some irregularities that are sometimes more difficult to discover. They're often unpredictable. Remember, I just showed you an example with řídit, to drive or manage, and řízení. And I told you, D goes to Z in most of the nouns, these verbal nouns. So, if you see the verb třídit, which means to sort, like when you recycle trash and you separate plastic, glass, paper, etc. That's třídit. You could think that following this rule, sorting would be třízení, but it's not, it's třídění. Třídění odpadu. What you can do when you want to check what the correct form is, you refer to the Internet Language Manual, příručka, and you look for verbální substantivum, if you have it in Czech, or a verbal noun. All clear? It's pretty cool, right? And also, you will see that these nouns are actually very similar to adjectives. So if you want to make adjectives, you would see a lot of similarities. I would also like to let you know that all my video courses that are available on Udemy are 30% off until the end of March. So if there is any video course that you're missing in your collection, now is your chance to buy them. Just use the discount code 30. You'll find all the links on my website, czechbyzuzka.com/video-courses. Remember, until the end of March. Now it's time to practice with an exercise. You can see 6 phrases and you need to change the verbs into these verbal nouns. The sentences are translated so you can see what it means. Pause the video while you work on this exercise. Připraveni? Číslo 1. Ty bereš prášky na spaní? Na spaní? Prášky na spaní, sleeping pills. Literally, pills for sleeping. Číslo 2. Ceny za lyžování rostou. Ceny za lyžování rostou. Číslo 3. Běhání. Běhání je důležitou součástí mého života. Číslo 4. Jaké jsou plány na otevření dalších obchodů? Otevření. Číslo 5. Jak zpomalit stárnutí? Stárnutí. Aging. Číslo 6. To nebylo milé probuzení. Probuzení. Waking up or awakening. To je ode mě všechno. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or if you would like to learn a little bit more, please visit my blog post. Těším se na vás příští týden. Ahoj!